If you are well, it is well, and I am also well. Welcome to the Stoic Cat. The Stoic mindset. Show me who is not a slave. One is a slave to lust, another to ambition, and all are slaves to fear. No servitude is more disgraceful than that which is self-imposed. Most people never ask themselves how they ought to live. Instead, the default philosophy, for those who aren't religious, has become enlightened hedonism. In other words, trying to maximize pleasure, social status, and wealth. Sadly, this philosophy doesn't often lead to a good quality of mind or life. Stoicism, on the other hand, provides a philosophical system for training the mind. There was a group of wise men living in Greece and Rome thousands of years ago called the Stoics. They had a radical view on life, proposing that pleasure and accomplishments don't make you happy in the long run. Rather, those aims often put you on a hedonic treadmill, always seeking the next, greater reward. The Stoics observed that it's lasting peace of mind that you're really after. They wanted to solve for fulfillment, or what they called eudaimonia. And they came up with a remarkably effective way to work towards this eudaimonia. The Stoics deeply understood the human condition, which has not fundamentally changed. Like skilled physicians, they had antidotes for many of life's troubles. Contrary to popular belief, the Stoics didn't call for emotionless detachment from the world. In fact, the word Stoics comes from the Greek stoa, meaning a porch, where this wisdom was often taught. Stoicism is a mindset and philosophy that's based on the logical premise that your mind determines your perceptions, which can be trained. According to the Stoics, it's not the outer world that's the problem, but rather your internal world. As Seneca put it, how many men train their bodies, and how few train their minds. The Stoics came to many of the same conclusions as the Eastern meditation traditions. That's not so surprising, because they were using the same tools of logic and introspection. If you have an interest in learning more about Stoicism, or if you want to explore answers to some of life's most significant questions, please continue watching this episode. Also, let us know what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In some sense, Stoicism is a mindset based on a set of observations about how the mind and world works. The Stoics argued that your thoughts and beliefs create the world you inhabit, not external circumstances, so you ought to take responsibility for your mind. You can simultaneously erase a lot of worries by letting go of what you can't control, like reputation and wealth. You can change your mind by taking a new perspective, like confronting death to appreciate life, or reminding yourself how small you are in the grand scheme of the universe. Adversity and hardship are inevitable parts of life, and so you ought to train equanimity, or what the Stoics called ataraxia, for those hard times. Everything is impermanent, in a constant flux, and so trying to grasp onto something as a lasting source of happiness just creates suffering. You should get to know yourself through careful and honest self-observation. You can get to the truth of matters and shed the narratives that your mind piles on top, which often create misery. Logical reasoning should serve as the basis for your choices and actions, leading to moderation, virtue, and ultimately the good life of fulfillment. In order to see if these principles work, you can put them to the test for yourself. Stoicism is simply a framework for seeing the world clearly and living a great life. Let's dive into a couple of ways it accomplishes this. The Stoics were masters of taking a fresh perspective on events, rather than viewing them from a narrow and self-centered vantage point. Take, for example, this humorous passage by the Greek and Roman philosopher Plutarch. This, then, we should practice and work on first of all, like the man who threw a stone at his dog, but missed and hit his stepmother. Not so bad, he said, for it is possible to change what we get out of things that do not go as we wish. Diogenes was driven into exile. Not so bad, for it was after his banishment that he took up philosophy. You can apply this reframing whenever things don't go your way. For example, someone might normally be so certain that a promotion, college acceptance, or new lover will make them happiest. But how often do people say that an illness or rejection was the best thing that ever happened to them? Another tool the Stoics often used was thought experiments. They practiced their mental resilience like an athlete lifting weights in preparation for the game. For example, a Stoic meditation might involve imagining that you've lost your sense of hearing. Why would anyone do that? It doesn't seem like a very pleasant thing to visualize. But so doing, you can train to appreciate what you do have, and the next time you experience a misfortune, it won't seem so bad. These teachings have lasted thousands of years because they work. Reflecting on Stoic wisdom primes a mindset that will make for a higher quality of life. But studying Stoicism is a waste unless you actually apply that mindset in daily life. For example, the next time you face a challenge, you might remember the words of the wise Roman emperor and Stoic Marcus Aurelius. You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Take care, and until we meet again.